All right, first off, the thing about oil painting medium that nobody tells you is that Hello, welcome to Paint Coach. My name is Chris Fornatero and I am here to help simplify oil painting so you can get better faster. Now, if you like this video, if you like this channel, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. You hitting that like button right now really helps the channel grow. Now, if you're looking for full painting video tutorials, I do have those, but they are on my Patreon page, which is linked in the description below. Also down in the description below is a free shortcut to color mixing guide. It's a short 10-minute video that will give you a strong foundation of mixing colors. I show you how to mix any color using the primaries and white. So if you struggle with color mixing, you might want to check that one out. Also, if you have questions on oil painting, leave them in the comments section. That's what I'm here. I'm here to help you. Don't be afraid to ask a question no matter what it is. Because every Friday I have a Paint Talk Q&A video where I go to the comments section of all my videos and I pick out the best questions to answer on Paint Talk. And that comes out every Friday. All right, oil painting medium. Now I get a lot of people asking me about medium, like which kind of medium do I need to use? Is it slow drying? Is it fast drying? Do I mix it into the paint firsthand? How much do I use? I saw this painter mix it in with their paint thinner and they have a certain recipe. Let's keep things simple, okay? All right, first off, the thing about oil painting medium that nobody tells you is that you don't have to use it. I know plenty of painters, a lot that are way better than me, that don't use any medium. Now, I know that you've probably seen a ton of YouTube videos of a bunch of different artists, and they're each telling you their way and how they use medium, and none of them are wrong. They're probably all right, but if anybody out there says that they have the best way or the right way, run away from that person. What I'm showing you today is just how I like to go about doing it. I find it simple. I find it straightforward. You may not. It's just what I like, and I'm just gonna share that with you. Now, there are a bunch of different kind of mediums out there. There's fast drying, there's slow drying, there's linseed oil, there's liquid, there's Galkid. There's a ton of different kinds. I'm gonna be keeping things simple, and I'm gonna be using linseed oil. Now, linseed oil is pretty much your basic oil painting medium. If you go to a class, like a beginner's 101 class, at an art center or a college, chances are they're going to give you some linseed oil on the first day. Now, linseed oil is a slow drying medium, and a lot of beginners are afraid of that. They're afraid of that slow dry time because they're probably coming from acrylics and watercolors where they dry really quickly, and the few times that they've tried oils, they get really frustrated because everything's all wet and it's all mixing together and they don't know what to do, and so they think that when they go to oils, they need to find a fast drying medium. Now, I don't recommend that. Yes, fast drying mediums can be great. I use them from time to time, but if you're just starting out, I highly recommend leaning into what makes oil paints different. And one of the biggest things that makes them different than acrylics and watercolors is that slow dry time. When you put paint down, it stays wet so you can mix it together, you can work it while it's on the canvas. Now, yes, you can get it too slippery, too wet, and you can't work with it, and sometimes it's good to let the paint dry or tack up a little bit, but in general, working wet into wet is a great way to start learning to oil paint. Now, with linseed oil, I've had people ask about this, is that when you leave it out, it can develop a film over top of it. That's completely fine. That doesn't mean that the linseed oil has gone bad or anything. Just break that seal or that film on top and use the oil that's wet underneath it. All right, that's enough talking. Let's go play around with some paint. All right, so this is pretty much my setup whenever I am oil painting. I got my paint thinner here, just some Gamsol paint thinner, and some medium. This is linseed oil. It's a little cap. Don't need much. Now I'm gonna first just show the main purpose of what medium used for, which is to change the consistency of the paint. So say if I just took some blue here, just straight paint, and it's gonna make some marks, bringing it out. You can see how far, the very saturated blue, it dies out, right around here. Say if you're painting and that's kind of what you're getting and you're like, I don't like it, it gets too dry too quickly, I want to change the consistency of the paint. Oil paint is just pigment and oil, and depending on how much oil you put into it is going to change, the flow. And you've probably noticed that different colors have, different consistencies to it. So this can also help even things out and just make it what you want. I feel like everybody thinks that there's just some right way to do it, and it's really what you need. I just keep my medium here, just slightly dip my brush in it, and I just feel it out. And as you paint more, you're gonna get a better feel of the paint, better feel of the medium, and just know how you like it, when you like it and stuff. So it's gonna mix up. You already can kind of see just on my palette here, it's just looking, yeah, slicker. So let's do the same thing. Wow. You can just see how much different, it's nice, like a little graph, is that it, you know, it's gonna stop right around there, and then it starts to get drier. You're gonna get more out of each time loading the brush when you add some medium to it. Now, I know you're saying like, well, Chris, can't I just do the same thing with paint thinner? Yes, you can. The only difference is that with paint thinner, it's going to, one, dry quicker. Like this that has linseed oil, it's going to take longer to dry, which means you'll be able to work into it better, which I'll show you in a little bit. But with paint thinner, it's going to dry quicker and set up, but it's also going to lose a little bit of vibrancy of the color. You know, the thinner itself is just going to dull the color a little bit, but I'll show some paint thinner, some paint. You can already see this looks more like watercolor. Sorry, I should have just kept going. But this is good for when you're blocking in a subject and you're just kind of figuring out, you know, drawing it in, because it'll set up quickly and you'll be able to paint over it very easily. Which I'll show you right now. So say if we did that, like, oh, I didn't like that blue. I want it to be a little bit of a lighter blue. So I'm gonna add some white. I'm gonna touch my linseed oil, make it flow a little better. And you're gonna be able to paint, you know, right over top of that easily. All right, so next I'm gonna paint over this one that has medium in it. And it's easier to paint over paint that has a good amount of medium in it with paint that has less medium. I always like to work thin to thick. And you can see if I add more paint to this, and make it lighter so you can see, by just adding paint and not adding more linseed oil, I'm increasing the ratio of paint to medium. So this has more paint than medium than this does on here, so it's making it thicker and it should be able to go. So you don't need to completely mix up a different batch of paint. You know, you can branch off. Just because I want paint now that has less medium in it doesn't mean I have to start a whole new pile. Like I can just work into this one that did have medium in it, just adding more paint. I'm actually going to make this a little lighter because one of the things you should be aware of when painting into wet paint, and use this to your advantage, is that this color is going to mix in a little bit with this blue. All right, now it is possible to put too much medium. Say if you have some blue, put a lot of medium, it's just gonna be very watery. It's almost gonna look like the paint thinner. And it's gonna be very, very difficult to do anything on top of this because it's gonna be wet, it's gonna be slippery. So if I take this, try and paint over it, you see how much it's bleeding into there? It's just going to be really hard to do anything with that or have any control. So a great exercise if you still feel intimidated with handling paint and medium and paint thinner and which is which and which works with that, I highly suggest just getting a piece of scratch canvas, you know, if you got a canvas pad, whatever it is, and just play around. You know, you don't have to paint something specific. Just start making marks on the canvas, test things out, see how the paint moves with the paint thinner, try and build on top of it with paint thinner. Get a feel for the paint. I feel like so many beginners feel like every single time they set up to oil paint, they have to paint some big masterpiece. Sometimes the biggest discoveries you make are when you're not painting anything at all, or you're just doing a small study on a scrap piece of canvas. So if you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, check out my Patreon page for full video tutorials. If you want to see what I paint on a daily basis, you can follow me on Instagram at Forza43. I'm Chris Fornatero here telling you to go get painting. Whoa, you're still here. You made it to the end of the video. That must mean you really like it. In that case, you should hit the subscribe button. You'd also probably like this video too. And this video. Please pick one. All right, this is getting awkward.